When I started practicing a lot, I did not practice effectively. Nobody taught me how to practice effectively. I literally had to stumble through the darkness to figure out how to practice well. So I want to share with you 3 things that majorly leveled up my music practice. Now, it doesn't matter what instrument you play, hopefully these principles will still apply to you. The first thing that majorly leveled up my music practice was focus. Focus is our superpower. If you are able to maintain your focus for a certain amount of time, you are going to become very effective at whatever you choose to direct that focus into. So if it's your music practice, you're going to become very good at practicing, and whatever you do practice, you're going to absorb it much more because your mind is going to be switched on. You will have activated the flow state in your practice. Yeah, you will just be so much more engaged in whatever you are practicing. You want to give your practice and whatever you're working on 100% of your concentration. Don't check your phone, don't check your notifications, don't go on social media, don't leave the room to chat with other people, and just focus on practicing for however long you want to practice. This is called deep work. So if you're unfamiliar with the term deep work, it was coined by Cal Newport in his book called Deep Work. This is literally the most life-changing concept I've ever learned. So if you're unfamiliar with this term deep work, I highly recommend that you research it further. It will literally change your life. The best work that we do is done in a deep focused state of mind, and that state of mind can be disrupted so easily by any kind of notification, or if you just kind of go away from your work for a little bit to do something else, you will lose that state of deep focus, which is otherwise known as flow state. So we can really learn a lot from this concept of deep work as musicians and apply it to our practicing, right? We want our practicing to be deep rather than shallow. Shallow practice is when we practice on autopilot. So you run through the same thing that you always run through without really fully focusing on it. Your practice will be so much better if you actually just really focus in on a few certain things and your mind is switched on and you achieve the flow state, because yeah, you're going to be engaged with that work so much more, and it's not going to be shallow, it's going to be deep, and that is when your mind fully absorbs what you're practicing. Okay, so how do we actually achieve the flow state? How do we make our practice sessions focused? Firstly, I think it's important that you make your environment conducive for deep focused practice. So you want to create a space in your house or in your room dedicated solely to practice. The whole idea is that you want a space that's easy to go into and comfortable, so you can just go in and practice without any resistance. It's going to take more discipline if you have to set up things or clean stuff out. So make sure your practice space is clutter free. When you can just go there and like at the click of a finger, you can just start practicing, the quicker you will be able to get into that focused state of mind, that flow state, and the more effective the practice session is going to be. The next thing that you want to do is to set a timer for your practice session. I normally do an hour, so I set an hour on my phone. Make sure that the sound is turned off and that it's turned face down, because even the slightest little notification or like the phone screen like lighting up because you get a notification, that can disrupt your practice. That can take you out of your practice. If you're going to practice, you may as well make it a deep focused practice session rather than a shallow practice session. We're spending time. Time is a valuable resource. So I think you're better off spending the time effectively and wisely rather than spending it kind of shallowly. When you practice deeply, your future self is really going to thank you for it, because you're going to be able to express yourself in a much richer, deeper way, because your practice will have achieved a much richer and deeper state. The second thing that majorly leveled up my music practice was making it fun and interesting. When I started learning the piano, my practice sessions were boring as heck. I didn't practice because I hated it. I connotated practice with boredom, practice with being a chore, and that's not good. When something feels like a chore, we don't want to do it. There's a big difference between I really want to practice today and damn, I have to practice today. Which one do you want to be? If you want it to be something exciting and fun, you've got to make your practice sessions fun and interesting. What are some ways that we can do this? I've found that variation is a very effective thing to do. Let's say you're practicing scales. Try practicing that scale as quietly as you can. And then the next time, try practicing the same scale as loudly as you can. Try racing the metronome, put the metronome at the fastest speed that you can possibly play at, and try to beat your personal record. Make a game of it, right? It becomes fun and interesting. And this way, you're actually also achieving the purpose of practicing scales, which is to have a deeper sense of dynamics and, to have more speed and dexterity. Another point is to understand why you're doing something. Because if you don't understand why you're doing something, then why are you going to do it? If it's something that your teacher told you to do, or someone said that it was good to do that, but you don't know exactly why, then you're not going to connect with it in a deeper way. If you understand why you should practice scales every session, then you're going to practice it. Okay, why should we practice scales every session? Because it is going to develop your dexterity. It is going to develop your speed. You're going to be able to move across the keyboard in a much more fluent manner. You're going to achieve that dynamic range that you want to achieve to have a deeper emotional impact with your music. Now, of course, I'm only talking about the keyboard here. You can probably apply these same principles to whatever instrument you play. Another benefit of this is that you achieve that focused state, because if you're unfocused, if you're on autopilot, you can't achieve the goal of making it as soft as possible or as loud as possible. You can't achieve that because you're on autopilot. You're just doing the same thing that you did yesterday. Try it different next time, because that way you're going to connect with it in a deeper way. It's going to be interesting and you're going to get so much more out of those scales. The next thing you want to do to make it fun and interesting is to improvise. Improvising is like the heart and soul of music, I think. It's like a way that we can express ourselves, because music is self-expression. It's a way for us to communicate these things inside of us, and improvising is a way that we can just explore those things. When you are practicing alone in your room, you're practicing alone. There's no one there to judge you. So I think this is a great opportunity and a great chance to explore your instrument, to explore the emotions inside of you, and to figure out how you can express them with your instrument and with the different sounds that your instrument creates. And don't judge it. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Just play different things, play stuff, see how it sounds, see how it feels. Improvise, because this is how we can make our practice sessions fun. When you practice something, take that thing that you've practiced and improvise it in some kind of way. Play it somewhere else. Play it in a different part of the instrument. Play it here. Play it in a different key. Play it in a different style. The last thing I'm going to leave with you on this point is to play the music that you love. There's no point in playing music that someone told you that you should be practicing, whereas you really want to be playing this. Play that, because that way you're actually following your ears, you're following your heart, and you're following, the kind of style of music that you want to play as a musician. You're on the journey of finding your own voice when you play the stuff that you love to play and that you love to listen to. If you love funk music, play funk music. If you like neo soul music, play neo soul music. If you like jazz, if you like you like jazz? Okay, the last point that I have for you, the last thing that majorly leveled up my music practice was having a creative and a professional output. Don't just have goals, have gigs. When you are out there sharing your music in the world, it provides you with accountability to actually practice and to make your music better. When you write your own piece of music and you play it out there, you see how it connects with another human being. Your music is having an influence, an impact, an emotional effect on another human being. And when you see that person's face light up, you see them really connect with your music, that's when you're like, oh my God, my music's having an impact on someone's life. That is the most profound and powerful thing to achieve as musicians. And this is like our job, right? Our job is to create that emotional flux in someone, to take them away from their struggles and their pains and experience this blissful moment, or maybe invoke this memory in them, or invoke this feeling of joy and happiness and peace and wonder and awe, or maybe get them to dance, or maybe have them connect with themselves in a deeper way. And so when your music is having this kind of impact, that's when you really oh my gosh, this is why I'm doing this. So I'm going to practice more. I want to learn more things in my practice. I want to achieve a greater dynamic range, because that way my music is going to have an even deeper emotional impact on even more people. And that's when it becomes so beautiful. Let's just step back from that real whimsical place I just went and get more practical. So when you share your music, even if it's bad, you've composed something, you've produced something, share it even if it's bad. That way you're able to get feedback on it. Give it to your friends and family to listen to. Find mentors who play your instrument and ask them for their feedback and how you can improve. You can take the things they say. Let's say, oh, I think your chords could be a little bit spicier. Okay, so then you're like, okay, I'm gonna spice up my chords. How can I spice up my chords? So in your next practice session, you search on YouTube how to make my chords spicier, right? Or something like that. And that becomes the focus of your practice. And then so you work on that on your practice, and then you compose another piece of music with spicier chords, share it out there, get advice on that, get feedback on that, and it's like a loop, right? It's like a cycle. And this is how you improve as a musician. When you learn something new, apply it vigorously. Follow the principle of 3 Ps. Practice, produce, and perform. When you learn something new, it goes to your short-term memory, but what we need is it to fully absorb into our long-term memory, because that's when we're really going to have it at command at any moment without thinking about it. When we're later on performing or producing and we access that flow state, that's when all of those things that we practice and committed to our long-term memory are going to come forth, and that's how we're able to achieve that emotional impact with our music. When I learn something new on the keyboard, like a new chord or a new rhythm or a new this or that, I apply it like crazy. Like when I learned the sus13 chord, which is this chord here, by the way, when I learned that chord, I put it everywhere in my music, and now I know exactly how to use it. Now this is practical theory. This is applied theory. You might not be into music theory, but consider applied theory. Consider theory that resides within your fingers at all times. Theory doesn't have to be this thing inside your mind, although that might be the definition of theory. I don't know, what is the definition of theory? You tell me. But applied theory is theory that we can just play and we can just express at any moment. Okay, so that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have some ideas for how you can level up your music practice. Yeah, don't forget to vibe and subscribe. I'll see you in the practice room. Bye-bye.